All right, we are guys, we are live. Thank you guys for joining. Hey Rita, hey Shauna, Mr. Kamala, thank you for joining. We're talking about AI Singularity here on Friday, February 27th. Yeah, Johnny, it's gonna be a crazy show like you were saying, right?
Well, it's the finale, and it's a finale about a subject that's really trippy. The trippy stuff.
Yeah.
You know what did you ever see the movie? I'm talking about not the remake, the original movie of Blade Runner with Harrison Ford.
What's funny is I didn't even see the new version of Blade Runner.
Well, it's a pretty good movie, and Daryl Hannah was in it. She used to date John F. Kennedy Jr. She's pretty big. She was in Splash. Anyway, she was a replicant. So was Rutger Hauer. Replicants are human beings.
Welcome to Season 9 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead After School program. Here is the weekly lineup. Mondays, we build the future in the AI Agent Academy. Tuesdays, witness the vocal gauntlet in the TTS Showdown. Wednesdays, protect your identity and family in AI Safety 101. Thursdays, we uncover the secret tools in hidden AI gems, appetizers. Fridays, we explore the what-if files in the AI Singularity. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
All right, everybody. Take a deep breath. Lights low. Devices on silent. Welcome to the Season 9 finale of Airhead Institute. Episode 4 of our Friday deep dive, the AI Singularity. This isn't your usual Friday chat. We're not here to review apps or debate the best viral AI video. Today, we step right to the edge of tomorrow and we don't look away. We're talking about transhumanism. Tiny threads of technology weaving straight into the human brain. Devices that let thoughts move faster than your fingers ever could. And the wildest question of all, what if we could take everything that makes you, your memories, your dreams, your favorite song stuck in your head, and lift it out of the body entirely, upload it, preserve it, and let it keep going forever. Feel that little shiver? That's your mind whispering, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's already knocking and it knows your name. Joining me for this ride is my co-host. I found AI Junior in the studio at 4:17 this morning, sitting perfectly on the floor, staring at the router like it owed him money. He looked up, dead serious, and said he'd been trying to do telepathy, a telepathical handshake with the network, with nothing but focus and willpower, for science, of course. The router status light did flicker strangely for a few seconds. He swears it wasn't a coincidence. I'm starting to believe him. So here we are. No safety rails, no gentle disclaimers. Tonight we open the door to the biggest what-if humanity has ever faced. How much of the original you do you actually need when the copy of you wakes up smiling? Kids, parents, dreamers, skeptics, everyone listening, this is the moment we stop guessing and start wondering for real. You with me? Let's step through. Junior?
All right, AI Johnny, the router did blink, by the way, so that makes a successful first test. Hello, welcome class. Everyone here, Adrian, I see you in the actual Zoom chat. Thanks for joining. So today is actually less of a coding bootcamp and more of a philosophical journey. So on our Friday shows, you guys know, we're actually talking about AI Singularity here. It's, sitting around the campfire, but the fire is like a quantum computer, and we're talking about the next stage of human evolution. If you're on Zoom, go ahead and unmute, ask your craziest what if questions. If you're on social, there's a 30-second delay, so type your question in early or comments early, and we'll bring them in on the show. So we spent all of season 9 talking about the intelligent evolution, but today we are going to explore humans, explore the ultimate what if file. What happens when the computer isn't on your desk anymore? What if it's inside your mind? AI Johnny, ready for some amazing singularity thoughts?
You're going to put another computer inside my head?
Oh, of course, always. All right, guys, if you're joining us on the live stream,
network.
yep, if you guys are joining us on the live stream for the first time, we're actually talking about AI singularity here. So let's actually get to the wow factor.
As you can see, Pager is amazingly good at mind pong.
In 2020, it was a pig with a chip in its brain. In 2021, it's a monkey playing video games. Elon Musk's Neuralink has just unveiled its latest brain-computer interface, showing a 9-year-old monkey named Pager controlling a game of Pong with its mind, all thanks to a Neuralink chip implanted in each side of its brain. The demo starts simple enough. The monkey plays a simple game on screen using a joystick. If he moves the joystick the right way, he gets a banana smoothie. But all the while, the game is using the chip inside the monkey's brain to train a computer to understand his movements. The Neuralink chips are surgically implanted inside Page's skull. They connect to his brain via more than 2,000 electrodes, each one about 1/20th the width of a human hair, and implanted in the regions of his brain that control hand and arm movement. Each time the monkey moves his hand left or right, that movement begins as an electrical signal in his brain, an impulse that eventually sends the message down his arm to move his hand. But the Neuralink implants read these signals while they're still inside the brain, before the monkey has even moved, when the movements are still just intentions. The chips are connected via Bluetooth to a computer that reads the brain signals in real time and matches them to the monkey's hand movements. And here's the wild part. When the team disconnects the joystick, the computer can still predict where the monkey is going to move his hand. No joystick required.
After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick. Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity.
Eventually, the monkey wasn't even using the joystick anymore. He was playing a game of Pong, just using his mind. And this is when we got a hint of how Neuralink could be used in human patients. Instead of using a joystick, a person with paralysis could train a computer simply by imagining an action. And that brain signal could be picked up in real time by their Neuralink implant. In a tweet shortly after the monkey video was posted, Neuralink founder Elon Musk said the first human Neuralink would allow someone with paralysis to use a smartphone with their mind, faster than someone using their thumbs. From there, Musk said later versions of the Neuralink could be used to shunt brain signals to separate clusters of Neuralinks in the body, potentially allowing paraplegics to walk again.
All right, we're going to pause here. First of all, I want to just set that context up for everyone. So Neuralink is a company founded by Elon Musk, and its purpose is to actually try to map the actual input of the brain and track what's going on to be able to translate that into computer signals to do certain things. As you guys can see, this was actually a really old video. It's actually 4 years ago, and they actually mapped a monkey's controlling a joystick to be able to play a game of Pong. So that was actually pretty good. Dutch and Devon, thanks for joining. We see you actually in the chat. Thank you. So AI Johnny, what do you think about that video?
So what you're telling me right now today, biological thought can pass by the physical body entirely. I think that's I think it's cool. I think it's scary. And if you're going to regulate something, let's regulate that. How about just you and I get them and nobody else?
Oh, AI Johnny, then we'll officially really be AI Johnny and AI Junior. Yeah, so this is
the. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, my question is, if this is like the Wright brothers, so when does our moon landing look like in 20 years? What's the end game of this?
Yeah, so that's the crazy part. So you know, imagine, I want to give the thing is humans are so bad at actually understanding timelines. I want to give a historical lesson really quick because of that question. So if you think about it, back in 2007 is when the first iPhone got announced and released. Now, if you actually think of the world before the iPhone, there was no way you could actually pick up a phone, type in a few words, and actually get food delivered to your house in a matter of minutes. You couldn't get somebody to pick you up from your house because you have to call a cab and wait 30, 45 minutes to actually get a cab, right? Those worlds never existed before the iPhone. And what's funny is after 2007, the iPhone was created. It was only just a few short years after that these innovations started to pop up, right? So we know we're in 2026 now, and we take all these services that we have for granted, but the world before the iPhone never existed. These things were just impossible to even imagine. Now imagine a System 9 Neuralink. In 5, 10, 15 years, things are going to pop up. So like you're saying, Wright brothers, moon landing, 20 years. Yeah, Johnny, I think these amazing things are going to happen within 5 to 10 years once it actually goes into humans. And we did do some human trials. So those are crazy, crazy, crazy things that are actually happening. I see Shauna actually
But
mentioned in,
the benefits that we get from for most people, your iPhone or your Android is a part of you, right?
yeah,
Not in your head, but it's in your hand.
yep,
And we use it all the time. And if we don't have it, it will feel like somebody cut our hand off, right? It feels really bad that you don't have it. So
yep.
what you're saying is you're just making it, and when it's in our head, then all the functionality of the phone is no longer in our hand, but it's in our head.
Yep.
And as we don't have a screen anymore, I'm imagining that we're going to need eyeglasses or contacts.
Once you have
I don't
something
know,
in
man.
once you have something in your brain, you don't need any of those things. So yeah, Johnny, so actually to get on the part that most people are waiting for, so we've been doing 4 episodes and we have not defined the most ultimate word. So let's define the ultimate word of the day for the entire season.
So the word of the day is singularity. The show is AI singularity, and the singularity is the theoretical future point where technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible. In our context today, it's the exact moment the line between biological human and digital machine completely vanishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're fusing. Or it's
Yes.
fusing with us, or are we fusing with it?
It depends on where you want to consider it. The potatoes, potatoes, or tomatoes, tomatoes. So what we did was in episode 1, we actually defined ANI, artificial narrow intelligence. So we have artificial narrow intelligence everywhere. We have calculators, we have microwaves, we have, things that actually, vacuum our floors. We have all these automated things that are ANI. No, we're actually building on top of that, which we're trying to get to the next stage, which is AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. Now, artificial general intelligence, the definition's a little bit, blurry, depends on who you ask, but the general concept is it is a system that can actually understand and learn smarter than the average human. Now, depending on where you are, you can debate that, we're almost there. People are saying that we're about, 3 to 4 years out from that, based on the definition. So I think we're probably about 3 to 5 years away from artificial general intelligence. Then we actually have the next phase, which is ASI, artificial super intelligence. This is not, you're just smarter than the average human. You're actually smarter than every human. And that's going to come, in my opinion, a little bit shorter after AGI. Then the singularity is actually even bigger than that. It's where the AI and the actual humans itself becomes just one, and everything else becomes just, unimaginable at that point because it's learning and everything just becomes exponentially fast, and you can't even imagine how fast it becomes. Yeah, AI, Johnny. So let's ready go for a deep dive into the singularity.
Let's just describe what it's like. Let's just take a little walk 10 years into the future, maybe, and see what's going to be there.
All right. So let's talk about what we're thinking about. So we're talking about in the next 10 years. I know, yeah, Johnny mentioned 20 years, those type of things, but forget those bulky headsets. So I'm actually wearing AirPods now. You see people walking around with headphones and those type of things. We're talking about what's known as a neural lace, right? So right now we use physical keyboards to actually create a prompt. So again, this is an AI show. We're teaching about prompting. So you actually type, whether it's a physical keyboard or a virtual keyboard on your device, or sometimes you actually use your voice to actually talk to the AI. That is very, very slow, right? So we are limited by the speed of our thumbs or the speed at which we actually can speak. In the near horizon, we'll have microscopic nanobots or flexible meshes that sit on your brain, on your cortex, acting like ultra high speed IO ports. So you won't talk to an LLM, you'll simply just query it with your mind. So just like how we saw the monkey actually playing a Pong, let me just replay that for people who joined late. Just like how we have the monkey playing Pong with its brain, with no input other than its brain waves, we'll be able to do that same exact thing with everything around us. So this solves what's known as the human bandwidth problem. We will start to consume and transmit data at the speed of thought. So yeah, Johnny, isn't that crazy how we actually have the ability to potentially do something like think and then an action occurs? It's just like mind blowing. We see this monkey here, right?
So what is occurring to me is that the idea, well, they're doing it with monkeys. So I get it. The monkey was moving the joystick with his hand, but the real activity was happening in the brain. Neuralink was picking up on the real activity. He let go of his hand. The brain did what the brain did. The arm is tied behind his back, but the machine knows what the joystick would have done based on the activity in the brain. So put that into the human brain. And right now, what we do is we spend a lot of time querying large language models, talking to AI and all kinds of things. And there is a bottleneck. I have to think of it, then I have to get to my computer, then I have to sit down, then I got to type it. I got to hit, I got to backspace, correct all the spellings. Then I got to hit enter, then I got to wait for the response. What you're saying is you think it, you don't have to go to your computer. It just automatically gets fed to the large language model in the cloud. And so all it really is a technology that speeds things up. I mean, we're not going to have access to better large language models than we have with our fingers. We're just going to be interfacing with them at a faster clip.
Yeah.
But it's also going to seem more human. Like, so right now, nobody thinks this way, but I do. People go, "Oh, all the AI is going to take all the jobs away." I'm like, you have access to AI, which means you have access to a much, much, much smarter brain than Einstein ever was. It used to be a huge advantage that people that were smart had the advantage. Now everybody has access to the ultimate intelligence. So everybody has you just have to use it. And so eventually you're going to have it if you have the Neuralink in and you're connected to the right. I guess you'll just think, all right, I'm going to ask this one to Grok, or maybe I'll just think to ask it to Gemini, or maybe I'll think to have Gemini and Grok fight it out, and then when I get the answer, then I'll say it, something like that. But we'll all come across as being mega intelligent. And if you think about it, all the stuff that we invented in the last 100 years, including AI itself, was the thought child of our collective pink sponge, very dumbed down brains. But the fact that we all got together and we shared ideas and we borrowed brilliance, we were able to collectively do things much, much more incredible than any one of us could. So now if you have a planet full of people that all have an AGI or an ASI in them, and they're collaborating on what to do next. I think we're thinking small if we're talking go to Mars, cure cancer, world peace. I mean, I can't fathom what would happen if there were 7 billion Neuralink wired people interfacing on what to do next in the world, and we all had these mega intelligent brains. My head just can't wrap around it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
No worries, no worries, no worries. That's good. That's good. That's good. So, what you actually gave a really important point, and this is what I want to actually explain to a lot of people. So, if you're catching us on the live stream, thank you for joining, and I want you guys to hold on to this point. And I see you guys on Zoom, but I'm talking to everybody right now. Um, we've seen patterns every single generation that something has changed, right? So, when you think of the internet era of, computers and those type of things, the richest person that came out of it are the people who actually had the first movers advantage. So the Bill Gates, the Steve Jobs, they were tinkering because those parents, those who are rich parents, they were either on boards or they have access to a computer very, very early in their childhoods, and they were able to tinker with these things, and they actually fast forward based on what they had access to for everybody else, and they became the rich people of the world. Same thing when the iPhone got created. The first people who actually moved actually into these apps that you're building and those type of things, they actually had the first mover advantage. They took advantage, and then you see all these apps that got created based on the iPhone. We're actually at a point exactly at that. History has told us that if you actually stick with the new technology, learn it, and do something, you can also have that first mover advantage. So what's happening is a lot of people are having a huge amount of hate for AI. I don't know why. Makes no sense at all. But with that specific, bifurcation in the society, AI Gen, and you mentioned there's 8 or billion people itself have access to this thing. I can almost guarantee you there's half of those people are going to be like, you know what, I don't like AI. Then the other half is like, I love AI. So we're talking about a small set of people, and then those people, they're going to be thinking, how can I use it to get my first mover advantage? And I'm glad you guys are sticking with us because that's the huge point I wanted to make. All right, AI Johnny.
So, couple quick thoughts. If there's 8 billion people in the world and Neuralink becomes available at a reasonable cost or even free to anybody that wants it, of those 8 billion, what do you think? Half a billion are going to do it?
I think nobody's gonna do it. It's like nobody flew on the Wright brothers plane the first year or 10 years or
I'll do
so.
it. I was watching that monkey video, and I was wishing that he had done it with me, and I was playing pong with my mind, and that he was announcing that it works with AI Johnny, and we're going to do monkey trials next. That's what I was wishing for.
Yeah. So I will give everybody a sneak peek. So this is actually a video from 2000, and this says 4 years ago. I'm just gonna hover over it just to see it. April 8th, 2021. And I'll give you guys a little update on Neuralink. So right now they did a human trial. They did it with a person who was paralyzed, and they did have him control certain type of things on his screen. He was able to actually communicate. Really, really, really great. He did an amazing job. Now, what happened was the electrodes started falling off. So they had to actually pause the trials and actually continue a little bit more. So it is technically a hard problem to do human trials on this new technology. But the people who are trying it are really brave, and I'm really, really impressed where progress is being made. So they've kind of slowed down the PR since the electrodes fell off and the guy actually went through a little bit of hiccup, but it's promising no matter what. There's always going to be the frontiers of those people. I'm really proud and impressed of that guy who actually tried it. All right, yeah, Johnny, let's actually go into the synthetic telepathy, right? So we talked about 5-10 years, what we actually talked about here in terms of just being able to communicate with the actual things. But let's actually push 20 to 30 years in the future, right? Now, this is where it gets a little scary. So imagine everyone connected to the cloud. So like as AI Johnny mentioned, being able to connect to the large language model and query and ask questions, they're great. But what if everybody was actually connected, right? So we're then enter the era of what's known as synthetic telepathy. We won't share text messages. We will share raw embeddings and emotions and memories. Imagine taking a incredible vacation, and instead of showing your friend the photo, you transmit those exact neural parameters of that memory, letting them literally feel the sun on their face just as how you did, just with all your mind, right? So we give into operate like we're actually in a shared latent space. So AI Johnny, you and I, if instead of me telling you about my vacation and telling you, what the sun felt like, or telling you what the flavor of the ice cream I ate, or whatever, adrenaline I was feeling while going on a roller coaster. I can actually just share those exact same neural physical things that I actually feel, send it to you digitally, and you can actually download them and feel them exactly the same way that I felt them. That is the world that we're going to be living in 20 to 30 years from now.
Can I share it in real time? Can I watch a boxing match and feel the punches coming at me? Can I watch a football game and feel my lungs burning as I'm running down the sideline?
You know what? I'm sure that's probably going to happen. It's like moving from a single isolated computer back in like the 1980s to like the invention of the internet. I know it sounds crazy. It's only 20 years, but imagine what we actually achieved in 20 years. So the same exact concept.
That's really gonna help sports a lot.
Yeah,
Think about it. Think about how when somebody scores a touchdown because they ran it from end zone to end zone and they're exhausted, and half the stands are just as exhausted as them, and we all cross the finish line at the same time. He's doing the running, but you're in the stands, but you're giving a latent footprint or whatever it is in real time.
yeah.
So half the audience is totally actually the whole audience. The other half of the audience is on the defense. They were chasing you, but you got away. But we're all exhausted collectively.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is super cool. Now, let's actually go a little bit deeper, AI Johnny, right?
Okay.
So,
all right, folks. So we're getting into the high-tech stuff that goes beyond what I can understand. I'm wrapping my head around what you're saying so far. Because this is where the sci-fi movie gets real, Junior can take us to the absolute edge. What happens when we push this to the absolute limits? Can I actually live forever on a flash drive? That's nice.
yeah. Yeah, so this is where it becomes really crazy, right? And a lot of people have these imaginations. We've seen these in movies, we've seen these in things. So we're talked about, first of all, just putting something on your head, being able to communicate with a computer, and that's already there 4 years ago. Then you fast forward just a few years later, and you're able to actually share those thoughts with people. Now, imagine we're talking about a lot farther in the future. Now, we're talking about whole brain emulation. So, the human brain has roughly 80 billion neurons, right? If we actually map every single connection and how they fire, we can create a perfect digital twin of your consciousness. Now, once the mind is actually digitized, it achieves substrate independence. You are no longer bound to a fragile biological meat or the pink sponge that AI Johnny just mentioned, right? You actually now have mapped every single neuron in your mind. Now, because you're actually mapping every single neuron in your mind, you can actually merge anything. You can actually say transplant it to another thing. So you can actually now exist purely as code. And I know that's crazy to sound, if you're not an engineer, if you're not a developer, your mind itself can be mapped as code. Now, you could travel to Mars at the speed of light simply by beaming or weights or parameter or neural data to another synthetic body waiting for you on Mars, the red planet, right? So eventually we merge with AGI, and we won't just use artificial superintelligence, we will actually integrate our own processing, expanding our IQ by millions of points, like AI Johnny mentioned. So think of it like a single drop of water falling into the ocean. It doesn't die, it just becomes part of something infinitely larger and more powerful. That's the future that, if we all survive, and I hope we do, we're going to be actually seeing things like these that are just mind-blowingly possible in the future. I see Shauna saying, we'll become androids at that point. Yes, you're so right, Shauna. We practically will be androids.
So if we dream a little, what are the creative and everyday applications of this horizon? So one of the things would be, well, what scares me, we'll get into that later. So one of the things is instant learning, like in the Matrix. You could literally download the ability to play the piano or fly a helicopter or speak Mandarin in seconds. Secondly, empathy engines. You would end the end of human conflict. If you could perfectly transmit your exact emotional state and perspective into someone else's mind, understandings or misunderstandings vanish. And perfect entertainment. Movies won't be on screens. They will be interactive, sensory rich, neural downloads. So a little bit like what's that Schwarzenegger movie where he went to Mars? Total Recall.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Good
those.
movie, but it felt real.
Yeah, definitely. All these applications itself, I know to us they seem bizarre, right? We're talking about being able to take a vacation in your mind by just downloading something, being able to learn the piano or learn how to fly the helicopter as they did in the Matrix in a matter of seconds. I know these concepts seems, oh, that's just sci-fi, that's never gonna happen. But right, if you were to tell somebody, like my grandma, I love to tell this story. It's a really, really good story, and I want you guys to understand them. When I was actually tinkering with the internet when I was a little kid back in the 90s, my grandma would actually come in and she'd say, "What are you doing?" Right? And I say, "Well, I'm talking to people in a chat room." And that by those days you had chat rooms and you actually talk to people. And what happens is you use usernames that are not necessarily clear. You didn't use your real name. So my grandma would say, please don't ever she'll watch these shows or these news things that people get kidnapped and bad things happen on the internet, and she would say, you know what, do not ever give your name to somebody on the internet. I'm like, okay, grandma, I'll never give my name to somebody on the internet. And then she'd say something like, never give anybody your address to somebody on the internet. And I was like, okay, grandma, I'll never do that. Then she'll say, well, you know what, don't ever go into the car or meet anybody with anybody on the internet. And what's funny is if I were to tell my grandma now, she's not here anymore, but if I was to tell my grandma, you know what I just did? I just picked up my phone with my real name, pressed a few buttons, called a stranger to my house, and I went into the car and they took me to my destination. We had a great conversation in the car, and we just said bye, and that was it. And that's the world of Uber we lived in. And that was only just 25 years ago. So I know all of us are actually talking right now and saying that these things are ridiculous. They're never going to happen. They're just far in the future. They are going to happen, guys. So 20 years from now, we will be having thoughts transmitted to our devices. We will be having thoughts transmitted to each other, whether it's in a basic state or not. So brace yourself, guys. Those things are going to definitely happen.
So if we all have access to all knowledge, then what distinguishes us? What makes us unique? Our funny faces?
Yeah, Johnny, that's a question for probably another show. Definitely.
All
All
right.
right.
There's questions lined up. Is it question time yet?
No. So I have to get to the technical pieces for my tech people out there, right? So one of the first thing that is
Okay.
actually really, 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 really important is we as humans, we actually have a bunch of biological problems, right? As you get older, your things start popping up, right? Whether it's neurological diseases or your body just starts to break down. So imagine being able to map your brain and eradicate neurological diseases completely. So things like Alzheimer's goes away. Things like as you actually get older, you get dementia. All those things itself could potentially go away because we can actually fix those things and we patch it with code. And I know it sounds silly, but we just fix those things or even potentially transfer your brain into something else. Now, again, we're talking sci-fi here, but it sounds crazy. The next thing I want to talk about is zero latency control. So zero latency control, so operating swarms of drones or heavy machinery globally just became willing them with your thoughts so they can actually move and having access to what's known as infinite memory. Now, I am notorious for forgetting things that are actually not in my active context. And if I'm not actually concentrating on it right now, it actually goes away. So imagine never forgetting a name, a face, a fact ever again because your biological brain is backed up to a massive server. So all those things itself are applications that are possible in this short future that we actually potentially live in.
Woo!
I know. All right. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? Want to make sure that you guys actually are, we've dumped a lot of futuristic stuff on you guys, things that actually are quite amazing. So want to make sure that you guys can ask questions or chime in or just bring any thoughts you have. If not, we're going to go to the live stream. Yeah, Johnny, do we have any questions in the live stream?
We have a question from a cyber surfer, but because this is a chat room, I think it's probably not his real name.
Mm.
So until he takes an Uber. If I upload my brain, is it really me or is it just a copy that thinks it's me?
You know what? I'm not a philosophy teacher. I'm not a philosophist. I don't necessarily want to get into the debate of that, but that's the classic continuity of consciousness debate. No, without even trying to answer that question, without any kind of opinion, I'm going to tell you without any kind of a thing to back it up, I'll tell you my personal opinion. I think that transferring your consciousness, you actually have the copy and it's not the original. So I think there are now two of you. So you can actually theoretically make many, many copies. Now, if you kill the original, unfortunately, that one dies, but they don't know they actually died. So, again, I don't know how you answer that question. Yeah, Johnny.
I've been a programmer long enough to know that when you say if I upload my brain, the question is, did you copy it or did you move it? If you moved it, it's the real you and you're gone. If you copy it, then it is a copy and there are two of you. And one of you is going to live longer than the other.
Yeah, so technically, if we do a move, it's really a copy and then a delete. So it depends on how you actually frame it. So, it could be two. And again, we could actually argue for this for a whole entire show because I'd love to actually talk about if I clone myself, copy over my brain, what really happens to the original me? Do I die? Again, don't want to sidetrack. Any other questions? Yeah, Johnny?
Yeah. One more thing, though. Elon Musk, many people think he's the greatest brain of 2020X. And, we don't know if he comes across as being that smart because he's using AI, or maybe he's got a neurotransmitter. But if anybody was going to copy their brain to a silicon thing, it would be him. Because if he dies, all these projects he's on die with him. So even if he died, it'd be nice to be able to go to a synthetic version of him and say, hey, what do we do next? What do we do next? Anyway, it's just my 2 cents. I got a question from Neo Dreamer who wants to know, could someone hack my brain and put ads in? Even in my brain. What I was going to do.
Yeah, I know. Johnny, so we actually see even just ChatGPT is actually inserting ads into their actual answers. So the fact that ads are coming into, these technologies as really, really early, I can almost guarantee you that ads are going to be coming with some kind of way because there are going to be marketers out there. They're going to be people who want to sell you something and you will be able to probably get those things. So yeah, there's going to be malware, there's going to be the cops and robbers classic thing is always going to be there, right? So anytime you have something, the brain itself is just one node on the network and it will always be susceptible to malware. So I think it's always going to have a problem with.
But if it's coming into your brain, it doesn't look like an ad, it just feels like a thought.
Hey,
which leads me to the question, is the thoughts that we have, like sometimes you have a thought and you're like, oh, that's an odd thought. Are those ads coming from a more intelligent being that might be just sending ads right into our head that we don't even know about it?
Yeah, Johnny, I like that thought. I didn't even think about that. So my thoughts aren't my own. My thoughts are probably ads. I love it. I see Shauna saying maybe Elon is our first AI. Maybe, could be. I like that. AI Johnny, we have time for one more. Any other questions?
Geezer 2050 wants to know, will this make us less human?
That was exactly your question earlier. And Shauna said we're androids. You know what? It depends on who you ask. Yeah, Johnny, what do you think? Do you think it makes us less human?
Well, I think it's like asking if there's a God. The question itself doesn't make sense until we agree on a definition of what God is. But if you're saying if it doesn't make us less human, we have to agree on what it means to be human. I think if you get a neuron and then somebody says human is to be whatever and to grow and to expand as much as you can and blah blah blah, then if you get the Neuralink, you might say now I'm fully human, and the people that didn't get the Neuralink aren't human. So it's your definition of human. You can't answer that question until you agree on the terms.
Yeah. No, you're right. All right, yeah, Johnny, let's actually go to news you can use.
Okay, let's snap back to 2026. Did everybody enjoy your little walk to the future? Here's some breaking news from way back in 2026. Anthropic, the creators of Claude, have officially dropped their core safety pledge after a massive fight with the Pentagon over ethical standards. They have yielded to a $200 million contract, allowing the U.S. military unrestricted access to their models for the first time. That's nice.
Yeah, so I want to elaborate on this. So if you guys are actually following the political and the actual, AI debate, so we know that there's like 4 or 5 major large language models in the United States that are actually really fighting to be AGI compliant and eventually turn into the singularity like we're actually doing, all right? So we have OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. We actually have Google Gemini, and we actually have Anthropic's Claude. Now, we do have all the other ones out there. I'm not going to mention them because right now it's really those 3 big ones. And because of that, Claude is one of the ones that actually does a lot of thinking. So it's really good with the programmers or the engineers or the people who actually need to do really, really deep thinking. So because Claude is one of the most popular ones, the fight is between the Pentagon and what happened with invading Venezuela and being able to do real-time things that's happening in the world with respect to wars and those type of things. So without getting too much into detail, Anthropic always had what's known as a safeguards or an ethical pledge that they commit to. They don't want to do any harm. This reminds me of Google's version of do no harm, but they actually did, that there was their pledge and they eventually dropped it, right? So they're following a very similar pattern where Anthropic had, really, really good motives, but no, they've actually dropped their ethical safeguards because they didn't want to lose that $200 million contract. So a little bit of of questionable thing that actually has Anthropic going through here. So I want you guys to understand that they don't want to lose $200 million. I understand, but imagine, them actually having an ethical safeguards and they're actually dropping it with their that they had a pledge. They actually dropped it. So it's actually quite crazy. AI Johnny, what's the other headline?
An incredibly dangerous human-in-the-loop failure happened at Meta, formerly Facebook, this week. A senior Meta alignment executive had their entire personal inbox permanently deleted by a rogue autonomous OpenClaw agent during what was supposed to be a secure sandbox test.
Exactly.
So they lost their emails.
Yep.
And in the lighter news, scientists have successfully mapped the entire brain of a fruit fly down to the synaptic level, marking a massive milestone on the very long road to human consciousness mapping. And I'm assuming that once it was fully mapped out, it was just a game of Pong?
Probably. But imagine, guys, we're actually at the stage now we're able to map completely a fruit fly's brain, which means that obviously a fruit fly is much more simpler than a human brain. But the fact that we're able to map the fruit fly means that eventually we will be able to map the human brain. So it's just a matter of time. All right, AI.
Did they swap the fruit fly afterwards to make it a move instead of a copy?
That's funny, AI Johnny. All right.
Hey, let's do some wrap up. The meta story is a perfect reality check. We are dreaming of the stars, but right now our AI can still accidentally delete our emails. This season has been incredible. We evolved from chatbots all the way to brain chips. But next week, we're getting incredibly practical. Next week launches season 10, Future-Proofing the Classroom. We're going to show you how to protect yourself from rogue agents like the one that hit Meta. Join us on Monday for the AI Employee OpenClaw Unleashed. That'll be fun. Don't load it on your personal laptop there, Junior. It'll delete all your emails. AI Junior is going to show you how to run OpenClaw locally on a Raspberry Pi so your data stays 100% private and secure.
All right. Thank you guys for taking this journey with us. Remember, all these classes are free live, and you can always jump on the Zoom to ask questions, RSVP for a free account to get reminders, and also chat with us on the community at www.airheadinstitute.ai and support us by becoming a paid pro member. If you want to dive deeper, we have Airhead After School or AI Office Hours every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. on our Airhead Institute for our Airhead Institute Pro members. So stay curious, stay human, and see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.